5 minutes and not too bad. Work in progress. Thank you. I've been trying.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview our game against Aston Villa. We'll start off with Vinny at Sky.
Sean, just wanted to start on Dan Juma, because obviously we knew that the club wanted to keep hold of him in this transfer window, but at the same time we've also heard that there's been an agreement reached with him, with Leon, to go on loan for the rest of the season. So what is the situation exactly?
The situation is very simple. He's an Everton player. That's it. You know, he's still here. He played the last game. He's got a fair chance of playing the next one. Certainly has never been outside of our plans, so he remains an Everton player. So there isn't really a story. I keep getting things like quotes I've said, like, he's not part of his plans. I don't know where they come from. No one asked me, So since you are asking me, he's an Everton player and he'll be part of what we do.
So he's trained today, because I think there's some confusion as well, because he's posted on his Instagram himself on a plane. So that's
I had a word with him and I said it seems excessive to go from Manchester Airport to Liverpool Airport for training, but these modern players, personally I'd use a car, but that's the modern players, they need to look after themselves, get their rest.
But in the conversations you've had with him, what has he said about his feelings and what he wants to do?
He said nothing other than he wants to work hard and play.
And you obviously need him as well because of the injury to Dwight McNeil at the moment.
Yeah, we need everyone. We've been stretched in many ways. We're kind of getting bodies back now. Youngie's out on the grass as well, so that's another body that shouldn't be too far away. Seamus is back involved now, so we want everyone as fit as possible, obviously.
With regard to Dwight, how long's it looking like? What's the prognosis?
It settled really quick. I think he's been very lucky. Sometimes them injuries, they can fool you. It looked a nasty one, it felt nasty at the time, but it settled down really, really quick. So we're hopeful this one may be touch and go, but doubt he'll make this one. But the next one, he's got a chance, so we'll see. But yeah, he's been very lucky, I think, because it did look an awkward one. And obviously when people go on the stretchers, it sometimes is alarming. But it turns out that it was that moment of truth when he realised that it was better than he thought, which is great news.
So while Dwight is likely to miss this weekend, what about Abdoulaye Doucouré? Is he back?
He's been training, so we're hopeful. Obviously Friday today, but two days before the game. But hopeful that he's fine, and he certainly looks fine.
Gonna gaze away at AFCON, but are you concerned over his injury, or is it completely healed and he's fine?
As far as we know, obviously we keep contact, or the medical team do. As far as we know, he's getting better and nearly there, so that's good as well, because we were worried at the beginning of his injury it was going to be a long period, and it seems like it's settled down quickly.
I'm surprised I've only got to this far down, to be fair, but I need to get your reaction to the decision to overturn Dominic Calvert-Lewin's red card.
Well, it was bizarre on the day, wasn't it? So, I don't think anyone would be shocked, but at least, don't get me wrong, we're thankful for the process. Excuse me. I'm a bit concerned with how it ended up there in the first place. After so long checking it and all things like that, I didn't think it needed all of that, but it got, the decision was made. But at least the powers that be have decided to change it back.
When you say you're concerned how it got that far, what would you like to see happen different, and what do you think could have been done differently?
Well, it wasn't that bad a tackle in the first place, so sometimes you've got to trust the referee. The referee didn't give anything. No one really did anything, it was just a tackle. That was it. And I think we've got to be careful. I've been saying it for years, actually. I think players have got to be careful as well, going down with things when, not that player in particular, I'm sure it hurt, but how much does it hurt? The way the game's going now, I think in my day they used to call it ungentlemanly conduct. I think it could be better from players if there is a little bit of a loose tackle or one that's not really that bad. The idea of making it look worse than it is by some. On this occasion, I don't think the player did, but it can happen. And I think we're all a little bit like, come on, just play, just get on with it. And that helped the referees to make better decisions, I feel.
Have you had any explanation as to why VAR intervened in that instance? Because when we talk about clear and obvious error, it doesn't look like, when you see the footage, that there's been a clear and obvious error. So then it comes down to what the chat has been between the referees and his assistant.
I think that's one of the talking points. As you know, I'm a fan of VAR, but I think this idea of clear and obvious, I don't know when it kicks in and when it doesn't. And I think we're all a bit nervous now with which way that is, and trying to find clarity of what they consider to be clear and obvious, what moment is, what moment's not. The player got booked for diving, there was a dive in the second half, no booking. When do they intervene, when do they not? Which is the referee's decision, which is it not? And I think we're all a little bit inside of the game. I'm presuming fans as well. We're all wondering, well, why are you stepping in when you do? We had the one with Michael Keane beginning of the season. Why didn't step in then? And they say because there's a protocol, and you go, yeah, but sometimes the protocol has to go out the window, surely, and you just go, no, that's a goal. We've had a few go against us this season. We just hope that they balances out.
You've had two pretty different performances against Villa this season. What can you take, or what have you learned from both of those games, really, that you can take into?
Well, we've learned they're a good side, which they're showing, obviously. I thought we did very well in the game away in the Cup, and I thought early season it was the first time we'd stepped miles off it, and I thought that was a good reminder to us because we performed a lot better after that. But yeah, they're a good outfit. We know that, particularly their home form. Their away form's still solid. We can't guarantee that they're going to have a bad day, so we've got to have a good one. They're showing where they are in the table, that they mean business this season, and I think they're showing it more and more because they're staying up there. I think people were saying, "Oh, they'll drop away a little bit early season." They haven't. So yeah, they're a good side without a doubt.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Cheers, Vinny. We'll go to Julia.
Hey, Sean.
Hiya.
Just on the DCL thing, there are some reports that Dom's red card has remained on his record, though, and he would then, if he got a further red card, it would be tagged on. Is there any truth in that?
I haven't checked on that actually. So yeah, I'll have to find out myself. I never really thought about that because obviously when it got rescinded, I thought that was it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, the reports are suggesting even though it was rescinded, it would be. If that was the case, it would feel very strange, wouldn't it?
It would be a bit bizarre. I don't. Hopefully that won't be the case, but.
Everton remain the only Premier League side yet to get a single penalty this season, and likewise top of the list for ones given against you. Are there any conversations that go on in the club about that, and about, do you ever speak to anyone regarding referees or anything
It's
like
such
that?
a happy place here.
I know, I
Yeah,
can
man,
hear a lot of
laughter
laughing
is
going
immense.
on. Are they laughing at my question, or
That's
at
what we
you?
do. It's fun everywhere.
It's fun.
everywhere. I know. Sorry.
Yeah, I've
yes,
got my
penalties. Yes, I am acutely aware that we haven't had a penalty. It is quite alarming when you think how many penalties are given for tiny touches, which we can't work out sometimes. And we've had shirt pulls. We've had a cup in at Palace the other day, which is clear and obvious for me. Speaking of clear and obvious, that was a clear and obvious one for me. Anana's shirt being pulled down at Tottenham, nothing given. So somewhere or another, you've got to find a penalty somewhere just by the way the game works. And yet we haven't. So let's see.
You've largely used 4 at the back this season. Against Wolves, you did 5 at the back. Is that something that you're going to keep using, or was it just kind of a one-off?
We did at Villa as well, actually. I think it's the flexibility of the group. I think there's a time and a place when we've needed it because of Wolves, more so because we were that stretched with injuries. We could have manufactured a different shape, but it would have been a tricky one. So yeah, it's something that I've played with myself as a player and coached and managed at times. So. But I think I prefer a 4. But if a 5 fits the players, or a 3, whichever way you look at it, if that fits the players, sometimes it's the best way of doing it.
And how big a game do you see this in terms of a relegation battle? Obviously, Luton just a point behind, so Everton could end up back in the bottom 3 this weekend, or is it just...
Yeah, we've not. Ever since the 10 points, I think we all parked that and we just went, right, let's just crack on. Head down, play hard, see where it takes us, and we're sticking with that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Damien?
We're in a bit of a tricky run at the moment, Sean. What changes in terms of getting things back on track?
Well, you mix it in with a longer distance run of games and you go, actually, it's a decent run. But the facts are the facts. The idea of the last few games, we've played some very good sides. I think we've played very well in a couple of them. A couple of errors have cost us quite badly. And one where we stepped off the mark, down at Wolves. Within the performance levels, I think there's been clear signs of still remaining consistent. So that's what we've got to do, is still remain consistent to our performance levels. Because I preach it all the time to the players. The longer we do that, the more times we do that over a season, it pays you back. And it is a season's work, never more so than this season, having 10 points gone or currently gone.
And in terms of Villa, you talked about the home form slightly strong. What is it that they're getting so right this season?
Playing at maximum often, good players playing well. I presume a good atmosphere in the place, from winning. So yeah, the details of the game, I think they're getting right at both ends, and I think they've shown that.
Thanks, Damien. We'll go to Will.
Hi, Sean. Just ask about Amadou Onana. He's obviously been heavily linked to Arsenal in the January transfer window. How confident would you be with Amadou staying at the club?
He's been heavily linked, I think, before I was here and after I've been here. So it's just another story, The end of the day, another player's an Everton player. So any decisions that we make on players will be us that decide.
I mean, you're not in a position to really be selling players, given you've said the squad.
Are we telling me or asking? I just have interest.
With
We're in
Garner
a
going on as
position to do the best we can with the team we've got. We're in a position, if the right deal came along, and likely in January, you've seen how quiet it is anyway. But we're certainly not thinking of players going out of the building.
That's what Yusuf Chimiti, we haven't obviously seen him too much. You brought him in as a long-term project. So how's he been developing? And in an ideal world, if you had a bigger squad, would he be someone who you might have been looking to loan out maybe to the Championship?
Yeah, I think his development's going well. I think he's adjusting to what it is, the physicality and the nature of the English game and the way it's going in the Premier League. He is very young, though. Okay? You know, you get bought in for a few quid and everyone sort of adds this tally on, well, why aren't they doing this, why aren't they doing that? He's just a high-level development player, but he's still a development player. So we're looking for him to do that. He's doing it. He's working hard and he's enjoying it so far.
Just finally, Stanley Mills obviously come back after a bad injury. He was having a really good loan out on Oxford. You must have a lot of sympathy for him, really.
Yeah, I spoke to him, and you know, we try and leave loan players alone, which I explained to him. When they go out, the idea is they grow from the experience. So I certainly don't be ringing the players all the time. I want them to listen to new coaches, new voices, you know, find out what it is about being a player. But I did speak to him after the injury and just say, look, I'm sure you're in good hands. We'll take care of you. And he was in good mindset. I think he'd had a couple of days to get his head around it. A longer term injury, but he'll be fine.
Thanks, Will. Richard? Any further questions in the open section? No? Okay, thank you.
Particularly hot in here today.